morning, everyone. Today, in the Legacy of Literature Awards, we have Jiya Doshi, ma'am, author of The Murder Exchange, who is also a teenage author. So, first of all, welcome, ma'am, to our podcast session.
I'm so glad to be here, and it really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Jiya Doshi. I'm 17, and I'm currently studying in A levels. And I have written three novels. One is a YA fantasy and adventure called Hunters of the Gloom, Lost Lands of Elysia. The second one is a poetry collection, and the third one is a murder mystery and romance called The Murder Exchange. And I love writing. I've been writing ever since I was five, and I think it's that one thing that actually really calls out to me. And I enjoy listening to music, writing poetry in my free time.
Yes, ma'am. And, ma'am, what was the inspiration behind the idea of the murder exchange?
That's a really good question. Actually, I've always wanted to write a murder mystery. Like, I think ever since I was 8 or 9 years old, the idea was always lingering in my head that, someday I'm gonna write it. And I think it was one day in English class when we got this one prompt about it was like a very murder mystery type prompt, and I had a very different interpretation to it. I thought about what if we contradict that murder with romance? And I
Yes, ma'am.
think that's when the thought flow actually started. And I think this year around Feb and March, I started writing the book, and it turned out to be a novel. Yeah.
That's amazing, ma'am. And how did the character of Dalia and Bennett come to life for you?
So for me, Dalia and Bennett came to me in like a variety of ways. Some were dreams, and sometimes it was just like, like I was just thinking, sipping coffee, and just like looking out and wondering if I had to read a murder mystery and a romance, what sort of characters would I like to see? And I realized that, usually we look at serial killers as something as they're like really stereotypically villains. And I was like, what if we change that? What if we portray like a softer side to it, a more vulnerable side to them, and maybe flip the stereotype and change that entire narrative? And that's when it came to me that what if we have like one nonchalant serial killer who's actually really tender inside, and that was Bennett. And the funny part is that like I made a guy like the tender hearted inside because that's usually how novels portray girls. And I was like,
Yes.
what if we make the guy as someone who appears nonchalant but isn't really? And
Yes.
I made a girl as someone who's in general, like really, she breaks down, she has a lot of emotions, and she's really vocal about it.
Yes, ma'am. That's really amazing. And the novel blends crime, suspense, and emotion. So, how did you balance all these elements?
So actually, I remember that somewhere around last November, I was researching a lot of such books like with crime and murder mystery. Like I took a lot of books from my dad's collection and I was flipping through them. And
Mm.
that's when I started picking up specific elements from each book, and I realized that they can go really well together. And maybe I could give it a shot. And I realized that, like if I'm writing a crime book, a murder mystery book, there has to be some amount of blood and knives and weapons. But at the same time, I wanted to give it like a softer edge, like more emotions. So I realized that I had to balance the harder side with the softer side. And that took like a lot of drafts, but I think in the end I managed it. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So you said you read a lot of books. So I wanted to know which one is your favorite book, which really helped you in writing journey.
Uh, I don't think I can pick favorites, honestly, right now. Like, I love Hunters of the Gloom, Lost Lands of Elysia because actually the story behind it is sort of like when I was when I was like 7 years old, I had started writing my first book, and it was something that I had handwritten. So I
Oh,
remember that every day I used to come home and write parts of it, and I was really excited to complete it. And on the last day of my exam, I returned home and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally finish this. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And it was lost. I checked everywhere and I just didn't find it. And that turning point, actually, that novel, that idea stayed with me throughout these years. And I told
Yes.
myself that when I am able to write that well, when I'm able to develop my books and develop my stories, I'll write it again. And
Yes.
that developed into Hunters of the Gloom, Lost Lands of Alicia. I just changed the character names. I added a bit more of maturity, and it became my first novel. Letters I
Yes.
Never Sent was a long time coming. I've been writing it since it's all poetry since sixth grade till 11th grade. And the murder exchange is definitely my favorite because it's like the contradictory themes of murder and love, which I absolutely love.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, what was the most challenging scene for you to write in this novel, and why? If you can.
The most challenging scene would definitely be the moments where they were open. Like, there were moments where the facades they put up, the guards they put up actually fell down, and they had mental breakdowns. They thought they weren't good enough. And I think those are the kind of feelings that all of us have faced at some point of time. But
Yes,
putting
ma'am.
that to words is sometimes difficult. Like actually bringing that mental breakdown to life without making it sound over dramatic and without making it sound like I am underestimating it, that was sort of difficult. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, the concept of trust plays a huge role in this book. So, what does the trust mean you in writing?
To me, trust is definitely something that I feel like you shouldn't trust someone instantly. At least that's what I feel.
Yes.
Because you don't know who will backstab you. You don't know how close they are. There's this famous song lyric. It's saying that all of my enemies were actually my friends.
Right,
It's
right.
it's one of Taylor Swift's songs. So
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So it's the thing is that you don't know when your friend can actually betray you. So I feel like you shouldn't trust someone immediately. You should wait, you should watch, you should strategize in a way. So that's what trust means to me, that I would definitely not trust someone even if I know them for 10 years. But if you gain my trust, you can also gain it in 1 month.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's a very risky play.
Yes, ma'am. But that's such an amazing thought. And my next question would be, how does the murder exchange differ from your earlier novel, Hundreds of the Gloom?
Okay, so Hunters of the Gloom went with fantasy and adventure. So those two genres, like merging them are sort of easier because they both fall under the same bracket. So you can easily like have some sort of adventure and add like a fantasy element to it because we've seen Lord of the Rings do it. So
Yes.
it's sort of easier. But then Murder Exchange was something I have never read a murder mystery with a romance. I have never
Yes.
come across a book like that. So, getting inspiration was difficult. My mood board was all over the place. Like my Pinterest board had like red with love in it and red with murder in it. And bringing those contrasting themes together was, I think it was sometimes difficult and sometimes the way it actually synchronized together was eerie for me. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, like you said, your Pinterest board. So, was it easier to vision throughout the like creating a vision board to for you to write?
For me, like whenever I'm writing something, I always create like a Pinterest mood board, which helps me at least like get into that flow of thought. And I also have
Yes.
like one song which I will listen to on repeat during that phase, and it's
Yes.
always one song. So definitely, it makes writing a lot easier for me.
Okay, ma'am. So, what was the song for this book?
It was Suburban Legends by Taylor Swift.
Okay, that's amazing, ma'am. And do you plan your plot in details, or you do let the story unfold as you write?
That's a really good question. I what I usually do is that my initial planning stage is where I will like make a rough draft of all of the chapters. But then as and when I start writing it, I realize that like maybe after chapter 8, I realize that my earlier plan isn't that great, and I would want to like change it maybe. So at that point of time, I go back to the planning process. I redo the entire thing and I continue writing. So that to and fro keeps happening. But then honestly, I'm the sort of person who plans a lot. So that's why I do that. Yeah.
That's amazing, ma'am. And how do you approach writing morally complex character like Bennett?
So honestly, I feel like all of us are sort of morally complex, like what we show outside versus what we are inside. Like, someone can be very cold on the outside, but inside they might be breaking apart. So that was that one thing I wanted to keep in mind. Like when I was writing Bennett, one of the things that I constantly had in my mind was some character who has wit, some character who has charm, but deep inside they don't even believe in themselves. So, like a few characters that actually inspired me was Jace Herondale from Cassandra Clare's series, because
Yes,
you can see him being really funny and really charming, but deep down he has a lot of inner demons. Another
yes,
character is Chandler Bing from Friends. So you can see
yes,
he's just like using humor to cover up his vulnerabilities and traumatic past. So that's something
yes,
I wanted to experiment with.
yes. And as a teenage author, how do you handle self-doubt and writing blocks?
I feel like self-doubt is something that comes now and then. There are moments when you're staring at something you've written and you're wondering, is this good enough? Is this worth it? And honestly, the way I manage my self-doubt is because of my parents. Whenever
Yes,
I write something and I feel like, okay, maybe this is not good enough, this is not like my other works. What if I'm actually like, falling off the trajectory, falling off the parabola that I had? I show it to my parents and they're always there encouraging me, giving me advice, sometimes constructive criticism. And that really helps me, honestly. Like, I think that self-doubt is a very common issue these days in teenagers, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. And talking it out, discussing it with people really helps me. Sometimes even writing about that self-doubt is really necessary for me. Yeah.
definitely. And as you mentioned your parents, so I wanted to know what was their reaction when they first held your book or read about it, or your friends, if you can give.
So basically, my parents have already seen like a lot of unpublished manuscripts before this one. So they knew that someday I was gonna publish it. Someday something that felt right to me would go out. But the first time they held it, they were all like, "You did it." That's that one line that stuck with me. You did it. I remember that entire box of author copies coming home, and
Yes,
I was just like, I started crying over the copies, and they were just like, "You finally did it. This is like your dream." And
yes,
all of my friends were just like, "We've been saying this in so many years, and you finally had the confidence to send it to a publisher." And
yes.
all of them were really excited to read it, and they were like, "We're wondering which character has been inspired by us."
That's great, ma'am. And what theme do you hope readers take away from your book?
So the overall theme of my book is red, like all of my three works. And my favorite quote, my trademark line for these three books is, "And suddenly everything was red: murder, rage, risk, love, and ruin." So that's something I've even put in like the Murder Exchange. That was like the last red book. And I put that line on the cover because I feel like the color red is very complex. Like someone can look at red as danger, someone can look at red as rage, but someone can look at red as courage, love, and so much more. And that sort of contradiction is what actually draws me to that color. It's the fact that, crimson can be the blood on your hands, but it can also be the thing that's staying rent free in your heart. So,
Yes,
I want people to know that just how a color can be this complex, this contradictory, so can people. And what is on the surface is not what's always inside. And this world is way more complicated than just black and white. There's a lot of gray area in the middle, and that gray area to me has always been red. There's gonna be a pro, there's gonna be a con, there's gonna be the best of it and the worst of it. There's nothing that's absolutely perfect. And I think it's time that people embrace their flaws and their perfections together.
that's amazing. And ma'am, are you working on your next novel? If you are, please can you give us little insight about it?
Absolutely. So I am working on a few books. So, but before that, I'm actually working on making my poetry collection and the murder exchange international. So I'm working on the international distribution, and that will
Hmm.
come with some bonus content as well for both the books. And along with that, I'm also working on another project, and I'm seeing how it's gonna go about. I definitely have like a poetry collection that's almost ready. But the novel that I'm working on, I just want to see how it goes because if it's good enough, it'll come out. If it's not, it might just stay unpublished like the others. Yeah.
I really wish that it comes out. And ma'am, throughout the interview, you have mentioned various authors. So I wanted to know which one is your most favorite author or who has really inspired you into writing these books.
So I do remember, my favorite author would definitely be J.K. Rowling. Despite all of her statements, I do not agree to her statements, but I love her writing. Harry Potter has been my entire childhood, and I don't
Yes.
think I would ever, pick up that pen again, think of ever, actually committing and actually getting down to writing anything until I saw the magic that Harry Potter brought. Like to me, it was my comfort book. It's still my comfort book. So whenever I'm
Yes.
upset, whenever I'm happy, I'm just clinging on to it.
Yes. And ma'am, how do your love for poetry influence your prose writing?
So basically, poetry has a lot of metaphors and parallels that run through it. And that sort of thing is what I bring to prose. I bring that a level of description, that level of depth. So like recently, I'd written this like short story, which would seem very fictional.
Yeah.
But deep down, it was about insecurities. So, to some listener, you would think it's a horror story, but it's actually about how your own insecurities make you feel. So, that's something
Yes.
that I bring to prose. I hope to bring that sort of imagery, that depth to prose, like something like, like the classics. They're known for it. Honestly, I love Shakespeare a lot.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
he's known to bring that level of vivid description to his writing, and that's something that
Yes.
I hope to incorporate as well.
That's amazing, ma'am. And ma'am, have you received any kind of compliment or the review from the readers that has really touched your heart? Would you like to share it with us?
Absolutely. So one of those reviews that actually like made me smile so hard was from a
Mm.
friend who told me that it was the best book she has ever read. And I know her. I know she's like the most brutally honest person I've ever known. She will look you in the eye and tell you that, okay, I don't like this. And when she told me that, and she's an avid reader, when she told me that, I was just like smiling and I almost cried because that just meant a lot to me. She was like, she went on and on about the world building and all of the emotions that I brought in along with the plot. And she said that, like finding a book like that is really rare. And I was really glad that I actually could write that down because that was my goal.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, like you said, you vision it, you make a like a Pinterest board for your book. So, I want
Yeah.
to know if the Murder Exchange were adapted into a film or series, how would you envision it?
Okay, so I would envision most of the aesthetics to be red. There are a few like dim light scenes, and I would like probably have like red lighting there. And in my head, honestly, in my head, like Dahlia would be played by someone like a redhead, maybe, or
Yes,
like someone like Sadie Sink.
yes,
And I would want that sort of action, that sort of drama to be portrayed. And honestly, I would actually love to see it. It's something like a Pride and Prejudice made into a murder mystery book. Yeah.
yes. That's great, ma'am. And what advice would you give to young writers who want to start telling dark or bold stories?
Honestly, there will be people who will criticize you. There will be people who will encourage you. Do not listen to the critics. Let that be the passion that fuels you to do something better. So, there might be people who will come and tell you that, okay, you know what, you can't write. Let that spark rage and let that rage turn into rebellion and that should make you write something. People
Yes.
say write what you know, and honestly, that's sometimes the best advice. Like when you're met with a creative block, a writer's block, sometimes just write about what you experienced that day. Sometimes just write what you know at the back of your hand, what you're feeling right now. And that might actually someday develop into a book, someday develop into a really good story. Because when you write what you feel, I feel like that writing is the rawest and most unfiltered truth you can ever say.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. So, ma'am, my final question would be, what's your future related to your writing skills and all? Now that you're a teenager, you'll be moving to college. So,
Yeah.
what will be the future of your writing?
So honestly, I actually hope to pursue science and at the same time continue writing. So it
Yes,
depends where I get in, but I would definitely look forward to doing some like master's or PhD in writing. It's
yes, ma'am.
definitely like the one thing that I enjoy the most, and I hope to keep writing more novels and keep engaging with my audience.
Yes, ma'am. That's amazing, ma'am. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining me in this podcast session. It was really amazing and insightful podcast session for me. So, thank you so much, for ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.